Hello, today I wanted to talk about regulating your nervous system like that using eye movements. This is something I stumbled upon accidentally. To rewind, many years ago, I had a version of EMDR therapy, and that was my first introduction to using eye movements for emotional processing. At the time, I did not understand that the motions of the eyes are directly connected to the state of the nervous system, specifically the vagal tone, the vagus nerve. I basically just followed the instructions and it worked. But more recently, I started playing around with eye movements, and I think the reason I did this was I was noticing that I get a lot of eye fatigue at work because I'm looking at the computer screen all the time, or I'm looking at instrumentation and things that are up close and kind of hard to see, and things that are hard to read, and it's just a lot of sort of up close, very focused eye position all day long in my work environment. This was extremely fatiguing, and I think I started to naturally start to move my eyes deliberately throughout the day. I would look at spots further away for periods of time. I would move my eyes back and forth. I would do circles with my eyes. And then I started to notice that your periorbital muscles can actually become very tense in the face. And to back that up even a little bit more, I've been doing face yoga, facial exercises, gua sha, that type of stuff for many years. And so I understood that the muscle tone in your face actually contributes a lot to the structure of your face, how old you look, your skin quality, whether you're wrinkling and how quickly wrinkles develop. And if you keep your facial muscles toned and strong but not too tight and tense, you can actually have a more youthful appearance as well as much more relaxed face in general, because we tend to hold a lot of stress in our facial muscles, especially the eyebrows, the jaw muscles, and whatnot. And I more recently discovered also in the eye muscles, the periorbital eye muscles, I believe it is, the muscles that move your eyes around and back and forth, those muscles can become tense, and I'm not sure if it is directly from very focused and specific eye position throughout the day, or if it is more related to not using the full range of motion that you could put your eyes through or would in a natural environment. And that seems like it tracks with the way the rest of your body works. So if you are neglecting to use certain functional ranges of motion in your other joints, you can become stiff, and oftentimes you have pain in the muscles that are weaker, not the ones that are tight. Or is it, I think it's that the weaker ones are tighter, which is counterintuitive because you'd think that if you were using a muscle a lot, it would tighten up. But I think it's actually the opposite of that, and maybe in PT could correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think it's that if you use something how it's supposed to be used and you have good functional range of motion, that seems to help maintain the correct muscle tone for comfort and use. And so I think the same is true of your eye muscles, and in our modern environments, using technology and doing a lot of up close, contained tasks and habits, we're not putting our eyes through their full range of what they could be doing or should be doing if we were in a more natural setting for our physiology. Now, this ties directly into nervous system regulation and emotion regulation because, and I'm going to reverse engineer this a little bit. Most people know that if you go out and you go for a walk, simple, right? Or you could take it further. You could be out playing sports, you could go for a walk, go to a grocery store, say hi to somebody, whatever. If you go out into nature on a hike, if you're walking by the beach, if you go do yoga, if you go exercise, what do all of these things have in common? You're out in a diverse and complex environment, receiving a lot of sensory information. Your eyes are moving all over the place, from far away, close up, side to side, peripheral. You don't even know what your eyes are doing. They're doing things that you don't know they're doing. You're picking up so much information that you are not consciously aware of processing that information, integrating it. And as you are moving through space, your brain is being stimulated. And this is counterintuitive until you really start paying attention to these things, that actually what is soothing to your nervous system is not lack of stimulation, it is an appropriate level of stimulation. And your body and your brain need to be interacting with an appropriate level of stimulation in your environment. And without this, you can become stressed. It's not always an overwhelming amount of information that causes stress in an organism. It is a lack of an appropriate amount of stimulation, which can also cause it. And this is what I believe happens with the relationship between eye stress and eye position and the nervous system. The eye movements directly regulate your nervous system via the vagus nerve. And if you look into polyvagal theory, if you look up the research that's been done on eye movement to regulate vagal tone, you will find that this is the case, that the cranial nerves directly insert into the vagus nerve. And guess what cranial nerves are attached to? Among other things, los ojitos. So it makes sense that your eyes, whatever your eyes are doing, are sending direct information right to your brainstem, because they're not only visual organs, they are attentional organs, which is why if you are under threat, your eyes are going to immediately snap to the direction of that threat, and they're going to focus like lasers. Your pupils are going to constrict or dilate depending on the light level, but if you have an adrenaline dump, they're going to constrict. You're going to be hyper focused on that input, and your eyes are the primary driver to that. They are taking in that information and setting the tone for your entire body and what's about to happen. So this is oppositional to the idea of natural and relaxed eye movements, subconscious eye movements in a varied environment, causing calming and a regulation effect on your nervous system. And when I say calming, I don't mean putting you to sleep. I mean putting you into an optimal state of arousal, which is alert and oriented, not stressing, not overwhelmed, not in fight or flight, and not so relaxed that you're about to go into theta. So it's somewhere between alpha and beta, or maybe back and forth between the two. And so what I discovered, circling back around to the example from my own life, is that deliberately moving my eyes put them through their normal and natural range of motion a little bit more often, and that relieves the eye strain and the eye fatigue that's caused by repetitive motions in your environment. So this is where the light bulb moment came on for me. I thought about that, and I thought about EMDR and how lateral eye movements can help you to process emotions. And part of emotional regulation is that when you find yourself in a situation or moment throughout your day where you realize that you are getting stuck emotionally and you need to bring things back down before you get stuck in this activated state and have trouble getting out of it. And because that is very important to me personally, and it's also important to anybody who wants to live life as uninhibited as possible and as productively as possible and probably as autonomously as possible and effectively as possible, you come to realize that the regulation of your nervous system is the most leveraged thing that you have access to create outcomes in your life. And so the more efficient you can become at being able to interrupt those moments where you're about to get stuck and bring yourself back down, sort of like putting the brakes on when you find yourself starting to speed down a hill, is powerful. And so that is something that I've been working on for many, many years. And over time, through experimentation and trying many different techniques and methods, finally got to this place where I discovered that it's actually physical interruptions that are the most impactful and the most effective for bringing you back into a regulated state. Because the mind, you can try to use the mind by using CBT techniques, and that helps. I'm not saying it doesn't, or not to use them or learn them, because they do help, but I feel like there is a layered approach to this, and CBT is sort of like not the first line of defense. It's something that works over time, and it's sort of like a support network for the bigger guns that are actually a lot more effective, because CBT is based on cognition, obviously, and cognition is useless in a moment where your cognitive brain is actually being hijacked by something more primitive. And that's what emotional dysregulation is. It's when you sense that something's wrong and you therefore can't think rationally until you can convince yourself that you're actually safe and you're not under threat. Then you can actually process the situation cognitively. So you need to be able to get yourself there. You can't do it with cognition. You have to do it with a physical lever. And eye movement, in my experience, is something that can do it almost instantly. If I would say you can calm yourself down to a rational state within 1 to 3 minutes using this, and I haven't found anything that works faster than that yet. And so there are many different things you can try. If you search this, you'll get a lot of information, but I will just walk you through my method, which I sort of developed just creatively, sort of like box breathing, but I call it box eye movements. So I always start with my bottom left, which is probably going to be the opposite on this camera, but we're going to go through 5 different points: bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left, bottom right, top right, and middle. And the sequence goes like this, starting from the bottom left. You point your eyes bottom left corner as far as they can go. Hold for 5 seconds. Move your eyes towards a point far away, at least 20 feet or far enough away for your eye to relax. The other side of the room, a corner is a good one. Out a window is even better. Then you hold that for 5 seconds. Then you're going to go back to the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you switch out to the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it for a third time, bottom left. Then you immediately go top left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once you complete the 4 corners, you cross your eyes, look at your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I like to complete the sequence by closing my eyes and standing on one foot and then standing on the other foot, just so that I can combine it with my balance practice. But that sequence, if you do that, you will find within the first probably 5 seconds that your eyes are in that bottom left corner. You're going to take a deep physiological sigh that is completely automatic. And you're going to keep doing that throughout the whole process. And you're going to realize that you are doing diaphragmatic breathing completely on your own. And suddenly you feel fine. And it's because, I believe, it is because the movement of the eyes in these relaxed positions signals to your brain on a brainstem level, we are not in danger, because your eyes are doing exactly the opposite of what they would be doing if you were in danger, which is staring straight ahead. And if you pay attention to yourself when you are dysregulated, when you're activated, if you can separate enough, if you can detach from your experience in that moment and observe yourself, you will probably find that your heart is kind of racing. You feel really hot and sweaty. Maybe you're clenching your fists. Maybe you can't breathe. You're probably going to find that your eyes are stuck in one position and you're just staring either at the wall or you're staring deep inside the void. The void, who knows where. And you realize, oh wait, there's nothing wrong with me. I am just under threat. Some kind of invisible threat, in fact. And I can change this with a bottom-up approach. And so try it out and let me know how that works for you.